Hello, my name's Emma Varnum and I'm a crochet designer and author, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I've been away for a few days and come back, and the garden has just flourished, and I picked some flowers. If you follow me on Instagram, you will know. Ooh, the roses, oh my word. So I piled in any rose that was in the garden into this vase. And if you've been following my Instagram posts or my blog for a while, you know that I absolutely love flowers. And for a couple of birthdays, very rock and roll, I have asked for vouchers for a garden centre or online garden retailer, and I have gradually bought more and more bare root roses and put them in. And this year I bought a few with my birthday money, and they've come out and I'm really pleased, and they really smell. I haven't bought any that don't have gorgeous kind of pungent kind of Morocco Rose of Attar, that gorgeous lovely perfume smell I absolutely love. So those have all come out, and it just inspired me to share from my book, Crocheted Flowers. And I thought I'd tell you a little bit about the story of how my crochet plant books have evolved. So I tend to have 3 dimensions to my crochet work. I have crocheted toys, so the cute crocheted animals, bunnies, bears, those things, kits, and those are an aspect. Then I've got blankets that I do, and I don't tend to do so many clothes now, but the odd clothing pattern, which will more likely be with inside crochet. And then a number of years ago, I had an idea of crochet cacti. We had been growing cacti and succulents in our garden following a trip to South Africa, and we'd seen a lot there. And my son, who was young at the time, really enjoyed it, and he and I went on a succulent growing course, and we enjoyed doing that together, which was fun. And then I suddenly thought, wouldn't it be fun if I could crochet a cactus? And there are a number, I'll just show you. So this is one that a pattern which I sell as a kit, but there are versions of this in the first book, so I'll just show you that. But these are, and they're so simple and great fun. And you on YouTube, there are a couple of sort of early tutorials that I did about creating cacti. And then the second book, which I'll show you, was Crocheted Houseplants, which had hilarious auricula. This is the African violet. Now, I always could kill an African violet, but this one I love, and it's kind of got that furry. I've used that angel lovely mohair yarn to create that furry look for the leaves. So that's the first book. And it's been translated a number of times. And then that's the second book, Crocheted Houseplants. And that has more wire in it to keep, it's gravity has a way. You can't make crochet go upright without some kind of assistance. So that has more wire in it. And then the recent one that I published only in the last month is Crocheted Flowers, And it is really inspired by many of the flowers in our garden and the flowers that I love, hellebores and things. So I thought I'd show you some of those because the roses at home are gorgeous at the moment. And somebody who follows me on the blog and on YouTube was saying, Emma, can you show us how you cover the wire for the stems of your plants, and would you show us how you do that? And I have done it in 2 ways in this book, so I thought that would be fun. I'd show you. Anyway, so there you go, and we get to have some fun with glue, so that's good, isn't it? And glue and crochet sort of do work together, not with a blanket and a toy, but in this aspect. So these are just fun things, and yeah, no, I've enjoyed making them. I just thought I would show you a couple of things first, and then I'll give you a little tutorial. This is the gerbera, which I made, and I really love it. And it's one of the more complicated patterns in the book, but it is just really good fun. Also in the book are the tulips, which you can make lots of, and I really loved making those. I could make quite a few of those. I might get back to it. You know, when I'm writing a book, I make 25 or 20 different things, and then you write the pattern. So immediately afterwards, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that again. However, then I little space, and then I'm like, oh, I could make like a whole bunch of these. This is an Icelandic poppy, which I really loved making, and I really want, and that's got a wire on the back of it. So I'm going to show you how to do that. There's 2 different types here, and really specifically, very thin wire. This is a sweet pea, and oh, my sweet peas this year have been a disaster. So this is the only way I'm going to get sweet pea. It's been so cold and rainy that they really haven't done anything very much. So yeah, this crochet sweet peas are about the only way I'm going to get it done. But also sort of roses, and you can't get them totally accurate, but and this is a wild rose. Oh, dropped it. So I used this pattern years and years ago on a scarf for Inside Crochet Set, and I just want to show you this dahlia as well. So this dahlia, you go round and round, and I've used 3 different tones. I think that's Starcraft DK actually. You start with a really sort of peachy colour and go out to apricot, and then a really light blush colour, and then I put on the back a sort of an amigurumi. I think this was attached. It must have been attached to a stem. Anyway, a little disc on the back to hide all the kind of workings. Anyway, so that's that. So I thought I would show you the 2 different ways that you can cover wire, or in this case, this is like a kebab stick, which really gives, if you've got a really thick wire and you want arching, then that really works really well. And that gives a natural feel. But if you're wanting something really upright, you can use a sort of wooden skewer. So I'm going to just show you those 2 different ways of doing it. So, okay, there are 2 different ways you can surround wire or a stick with crochet. I'm going to show you first the unmessy version. So for this poppy, you will see that I have surrounded this stem in crochet. And here I have created a little centre, a little stamen in the front, in the end. and I've surrounded a piece of wire with crochet. I've done that also for these leaves, and you can see that once you've got a bit of wire in there, you can do it in two ways. You can either use a needle, and you can, using the needle, almost thread a large tapestry needle with the wire, and you can thread it through the back of the leaf, or you can crochet around the leaf and use that as your foundation chain. It's a really good way of creating a naturalistic feeling and manipulating the leaves. So this is one way of doing it. I'm just going to show you the principle using this stick, which is entertaining, but I'm going to put these on the side so hopefully they won't be. Start with, and I'm going to use it on this stick, it's because it's larger and it'll be easier to see. Start with a slip stitch, and what you can do is you catch your yarn underneath, pull through, and then do a DC underneath, go underneath, pull through both loops on top. Catch your yarn underneath your stick, yarn over and pull through both loops. So can you see that you are going underneath the stick or the wire, pulling your yarn up to the top, yarn over and pull through both loops. So you're sort of encapsulating the stick. Put your hook underneath your stick or wire, yarn over and pull it up, yarn over again and pull through both loops. Can you see? Yarn under, pull it up to the top, yarn over again and pull it through both loops, and you're covering that stick or your wire, and it works really, really well. And if it's wire, you can use that as a basis for a leaf in the center of your leaf. I'm just going to work a few more stitches to show you. This is written up in my book with a diagram, but it works really, really well as a way of covering your base, either a stick or a piece of wire. If you, for instance, want to use that as a basis for a leaf or something, I'm just going to put it to the end. You can then use the back loops as something to work into to create more large stitches, and then the covering will be at the back of your leaf. Can you see how I'm working that, and I'm creating a double or a single crochet, double or treble, stitch that will turn itself into a leaf. So you can work along one side of the stitches. I'll do another treble for British or double for American. And you can see how that would then become a leaf. with all of the stable wire or stem underneath. Really great way of creating that foundation and giving you stiffness, which allows you to manipulate the leaf and make it more lifelike. So that's one way. Another way, and I'll just show you this, is to use glue as a way of stabilizing or surrounding. I'm going to cut this off, excuse me for the rattling. So, you dread to think of glue near your crochet, but one way of actually surrounding and creating a cover is putting a little craft sticky glue, or as we would say in Britain, PVA. And one way of doing it will be to take your yarn, find the end, and you can start it off, but I sometimes dip it in one end and just smooch it along this stick or the wire, allow it to go a bit tacky, and you can then use your kind of work over a line and really just cover your stick with a spiral of yarn. Now, you may say, I'd like that to be further up, and you can smooch it to the end, just leave it. And then when you've covered it, so I'm going over the tail as I'm working. This is a great way to cover a piece of wire. It's really simple. You don't have to do any of the fiddly crocheting around it, although that's what you'll but then what I would do is take your finger, and this washes off really well, and I would cover your stem in the glue and let it dry, and that will make sure it doesn't unravel and sticks. And it's really, really effective. Just sit it on the top of your glue pot. I've used a little ceramic dish. I would sit it there, let it dry, and that's how I have secured the yarn on this tulip. So there you go. 2 different ways of covering wire or sticks for securing your crocheted plant and creating a stiffness that really works, so that they can be in the vase or can be in a plant pot, and they won't flop. So I really hope you enjoyed that. I really hope it was helpful. Crocheted flowers are great for decoration, having around the house. They're great gifts, especially if you make them into little plants or you give them away, because they last forever. But also just dotted amongst your real plants or flowers, they're really good fun. Or incorporating into a flower crown or on the front of a present. Flower crowns at the moment would be amazing because it's festival time. So they make great decorations and they're great fun to make. And they're great things for stash busting, and you can do either in cottons, which have a little sheen to them, or in a soft, I use wool as well, because then they sometimes have that, not all flowers have a sheen to them. So having both, and you can see changing the tones really works really well. So that would work in really well here. So I really hope you enjoyed that. You can get hold of my books. I've got a few copies of Crocheted Flowers which are signed, and I've got signed copies currently of Crocheted Houseplants. Keep looking, and on the blog, that's where I also have signed copies of my books, and I'm really happy to put personal messages in there as well. So if you want to grab yourself a signed copy, please go on there now. And thank you so much for joining me. Please leave your comments. Please like and subscribe, and put on the bell icon if you want notifications of when my next video will be on. But thank you so much, and really have a great time with your crochet hook. Happy crochet.